Tradition 5. Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. Our primary purpose is at the heart of our service. With guidance from a loving higher power and a clear focus on this purpose, NA groups become a channel for the healing power of recovery. Narcotics Anonymous exists to help addicts find freedom from active addiction. If we were to espouse other ideas or pursue other goals, our focus would be blurred and our energies diminished. The fifth tradition asks us to practice integrity by keeping our purpose foremost. Tradition 5 helps our groups fulfill the fundamental reason for their existence: to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. As we learned in the fourth tradition, NA groups are free to find new and different ways of presenting meetings. This freedom is important. It protects and encourages diversity, letting us reach addicts by many means. In this autonomy, each group develops a character of its own. The character of the group is not its purpose, however. The message we carry is not our group personality, but the message of Narcotics Anonymous, the principles of recovery. What is the message that we are asked to carry? Groups carry the message of NA, hope and freedom from active addiction. This message may be voiced in many ways. Sometimes we simply share that if we won't use any drugs, we won't get loaded. Other members share that they have found satisfying, productive lives in recovery. Sometimes the message we share is that, even though life may be painful, we can stay clean. The spiritual awakening we experience when we work the steps is also our message. When addicts experience the message of recovery, we find healing from our suffering, no matter what the cause. We can live drug-free and establish new lives. That is our message, that an addict, any addict, can stop using drugs, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. The group's focus on carrying the message is so important to the survival of NA that it is called our primary purpose. That means it is the most important thing we do. Nothing ought to take precedence over it. This is the most basic guideline by which groups may examine their motives and their actions. There are many ways in which groups can further our primary purpose. Generally speaking, group members start by creating an atmosphere of recovery in their meetings. This includes extending a welcome to every addict who attends. Stable meetings that start on time carry a message of recovery. Effective meeting formats keep the primary purpose in focus and encourage members to participate in a way that expresses recovery. We lead by example, sharing experience instead of advice. Group members help further our purpose when they take personal responsibility for keeping the meeting recovery-oriented. All of our actions convey a message, and Tradition 5 reminds us to make it a message of recovery. There are many distracting influences that can divert us from our primary purpose. For instance, our groups may be tempted to use meeting time to discuss their business and finances or talk about some controversy. As individual members, we can get caught up in socializing with our friends, ignoring another addict who may be in pain and needs our encouragement. But each time our focus is diverted from our primary purpose, the addict seeking recovery loses out. Other influences can distort our group's focus on its primary purpose. From the money members contribute, our groups pay rent in their meeting space, buy literature and supplies, conduct activities, and support NA services. All of these can either help further our primary purpose or distract us from our focus. Some groups seek to outdo others with luxurious meeting spaces, extravagant refreshments, huge supplies of literature, and elaborate activities. When we do this, our focus is distracted away from our primary purpose and onto money, property, and prestige. We should try to establish a reputation for carrying the message, nothing more, nothing less. Money, literature, and meeting space are tools we can use to help us carry the message. However, they should serve us, not rule us. The groups can provide many services to carry the message. Our primary service is the NA meeting, where addicts share their recovery directly with one another. Additional services like phone lines, public information work, and H&I panels also help carry the message. In rural areas and newer NA communities, groups are sometimes the only source of such services. However, most groups find they cannot maintain their focus on their recovery meetings and also carry out other services. For this reason, groups usually assign responsibility for such services to the area committees. That way, groups reserve their time and energy for carrying the message directly to the addict who still suffers. Because carrying the message is so important, many groups take inventory periodically to help ensure that our primary purpose is still in focus. The 12 traditions may be used as an outline for a group inventory. Some groups use a specific set of inventory questions, such as, how well are we carrying the message of recovery? Are there addicts our group isn't reaching? How can we make our meetings more accessible? What can we do to make new members feel more at home? Has the atmosphere of recovery diminished? Would a change in our meeting format strengthen that atmosphere? Considering the needs of the larger NA community may lead to other changes. For instance, if there are no meetings in one town, a group may consider having meetings that focus on the steps. There are many ways to carry the message and meet the needs of both the group and the NA community. There is a power that works through this program. We tap this power when we practice the 12th step as individuals, carrying the message to other addicts. When groups carry the message, the impact of the 12th step is greatly multiplied. Even more impressive than sheer numbers of recovering addicts is the unity of purpose in the atmosphere of recovery found in meetings, a spiritual power. The evidence of that power in the group is hard to deny. It is a power we can draw on between meetings to stay clean. Tradition 5 focuses the group's priority on carrying the message. Members can do many things to further our primary purpose. For example, we show our care and our willingness to help by taking turns greeting people at the door, preparing lists of telephone numbers to distribute, or offering packets of literature to newcomers. When members come together as a group to undertake the task of carrying the message, they offer an attractive picture of recovery in action. Many meetings are structured to carry the message to our newest members. These new members often need more encouragement to stay, more answers to their questions, more of our love and care. But the newest members are not the only addicts who need the message of recovery. The still suffering addict with whom we share our hope may be any one of us, regardless of clean time. Tradition 5 is not limited to helping newcomers. The message of recovery is for all of us. Page 164, Applying Spiritual Principles section. The 5th tradition complements the 12th step. It asks groups to carry the message to addicts. As individuals, we are asked in the steps to apply principles in all our affairs. This is also important in our actions as groups. Some of the principles we have applied to help us observe the 5th tradition include integrity, responsibility, unity, and anonymity. Integrity, or fidelity to the principles embodied in the 12 traditions, is demonstrated when groups carry the NA message of recovery. Many of our members have much to offer on a variety of subjects, but our fellowship has its own special message: freedom from active addiction through practice of NA's 12 steps and the support of the fellowship of recovering addicts. Groups demonstrate this when they offer vigorous, conscious support for addicts seeking to work the NA program. When groups conscientiously cultivate this kind of integrity, their meetings further our primary purpose. The 5th tradition gives our groups a great responsibility to maintain our fellowship's primary purpose. Each group is responsible to become as effective a vehicle for carrying the NA message as it can be. Allowing our groups to lose sight of our primary purpose may deprive an addict of a chance to hear our message of hope. Each member is responsible to help the group keep our primary purpose in focus. Unity is one of our greatest strengths in carrying the message, page 165. Unity of purpose keeps our focus on carrying the message. As groups, we work together to ensure not only our own personal recovery, but the recovery of every NA member. The evidence of many addicts staying clean and seeking our common good is very persuasive. We don't recover alone. In anonymity, our personal differences are insignificant compared to our primary purpose. When we come together as a group, our first task is to carry the message. All else ought to be set aside. Groups can practice the 5th tradition by reminding their members that the recovery message, not the individual personalities, is primary in Narcotics Anonymous. Narcotics Anonymous is a fellowship with meetings around the world. Our primary purpose is a common thread that unites us. Tradition 5 defines the focus of Narcotics Anonymous. This focus also helps to ensure our survival as a fellowship. The 5th tradition asks us to serve other addicts by carrying the message that recovery is possible in Narcotics Anonymous. This concentrated focus protects the integrity of our fellowship.